To get started, let's set the cultural and historical context. Jesus is in Capernaum, okay, on the north shore of the Sea of Galilee. The Galilee, the Bible refers to in one or two places as Galilee of the Gentiles, which is interesting. So what that lets you know is that it was not just a Jewish place. It was a multicultural place.
Mm-hmm.
There were Greeks and Romans and Phoenicians and Jews and Syrians and Aramaeans, and there were all sorts of other kind of people floating around up there. And there were whole cities of different kinds of people. Okay, there were Jewish cities, but there were also Greek and Roman cities, and things like that, and they were all living together. Sometimes in harmony, sometimes not so much, but at least existing. And it's a multicultural swirl, as opposed to like Jerusalem and Bethlehem and Hebron, like Judea, which was pretty homogeneously Jewish. Okay, so it's a multicultural swirl, and he's in Capernaum. And the very last sentence of Matthew 4 says this. So this sets up, Matthew 5. It says, large crowds followed him from the Galilee. Okay, Galilee is basically the northern third of Israel, okay, including the Sea of Galilee, but also the mountains surrounding it, that whole region. So it's a garden. It's beautiful, big mountains, broad valleys, lots of agricultural, very productive, very beautiful place. It's greener than the south of the country.
Yeah.
It gets more rain. So it was wealthier, because it could grow more things and sell more crops. Beautiful area. Then it says the Decapolis. The Decapolis with the word Deca, so 10, polis meaning cities. So the 10 cities. That was a set of cities. One of them, Bet Shean, is on the Israel side of the Jordan River. The other 9 cities are actually on the other side of the Jordan River. So places like modern day Amman, which was at that time called Philadelphia, if I remember correctly. And some of the other cities are over there, Jerash and places like that. And these are all Greco-Roman cities, not Jewish at all. They're all Greek and Roman pagan places, but people are coming from those places to hear about Jesus. From Jerusalem, the center of, the Jewish religion and the Jewish aristocracy. Jerusalem, they were coming out to hear him. From Judea, which means the area around Jerusalem, basically, Bethlehem, Hebron, those places. Then it says, and beyond the Jordan. So that would be places like later when Jesus goes to Gadara and places like that. So the Golan Heights and present day Jordan. So people are coming from, currently 2-3 different countries, are pouring in to see Jesus. And it says very large crowds. So I don't know what a very large crowd is, but I assume it's at least hundreds of people, but it's probably more like thousands are pouring in to see him, and I think sometimes we don't understand how big these ministries were. We just think of Jesus walking around with, 12 guys on a road, and that's, we just sort of envision this sort of campish sort of scene, like walking the trails through the Judean wilderness and having, in reality, he had a huge following, this isn't Jesus, it's John the Baptist, but John the Baptist also had a huge following. And I think that's evidenced throughout the book of Acts, in that occasionally Paul goes into a new city and he's in Greece or he's in Turkey, and he bumps into people like, oh yeah, we went to see the John the Baptist thing. So people in Greece and Turkey were getting on boats and traveling to go hear John the Baptist speak, and then went back to their home, got baptized, whatever, went back to their home, and then John the Baptist, his ministry declined, he decreased, Jesus could increase, and then Jesus began to have these, larger crowds, and so that's just kind of the reality. He had lots and lots of people following. And occasionally throughout his ministry, Jesus tries to get rid of those crowds, and he'll say sort of very harsh, biting things to try to cut back on the size of that following. But it's a lot of people, and it's a multicultural mix. It's probably predominantly Jews. It's not just Jews. Certainly if you're the Romans and you're trying to conquer and rule people, you don't let thousands of them gather without you having observers there. Yeah. So there were Roman soldiers for sure. There would have been Roman informants, sort of spies floating around. The Greeks, the Pharisees and Jewish temple aristocracy scribes, as they're called sometimes in the New Testament. They would have had representatives there, people listening in. Like, it would have been a big deal, full of all sorts of people that couldn't stand each other, didn't like each other. Some people who did, some people who didn't. It would have been a very interesting group of lots of people, there on that day to sort of, if you would, see the Jesus show.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, when he saw the crowds, he went up on the mountain. So just above the city of Capernaum is a mountain. And so this says that he went up there and he sat down, and his disciples came to him. Then he began to teach them, saying. Now, I think what is key in that sentence is that for the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is not teaching to unbelievers. It says he's teaching to his disciples, the followers, okay, which is not just the 12. It could be more than that. But those who were following him, he's like, all right, you're following me. You're saying I'm your boss. Here's how we're going to act. This is what Jesus teaches to his disciples. If you want to act like me, if you want to follow me, here's what we're going to do. So for any one of us, that fall into that camp or that category, followers of Christ, then this is for you. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, click like and subscribe. It really helps us. And if you really enjoyed it, go on over to our website, thelandofthebible.com, and become a supporter. It helps us generate more content and gives you access to our full library of video and Bible study content.